Do you know how tall the biggest penguin is? Do you know how long they live or what they eat? If you want to know what's up with penguins, you've clicked on the right video. Let's start with some shared characteristics. Penguins usually live between 15 and 20 years. They can't fly, and they don't have any teeth. All penguins are carnivores, which means they only eat meat. Almost all penguins eat fish, krill, crabs, and squid. That must be hard without any teeth. Well, penguins have little fleshy spines that help guide the food to their stomach to help with that. That means penguins don't even chew their food. They swallow everything whole. Don't try that at home. Did you know that there are 19 different species of penguin? In this video, I'll give you a little bit of information about each species. Let's get started. Number 1, we have the Adelie penguin. They live in Antarctica and its neighboring islands. This species was first found in 1840 by the French sailor Julius de Montjoulet and named after his wife Adelie. These penguins are an aggressive species, which is unusual for a penguin. Something else unusual about this species is that along with eating krill and fish, it also eats jellyfish. Number 2, we have the African penguin. Can you guess where they live? That's right, Africa. Well, technically in South Africa. They are the only penguins that live in Africa, which means they have the whole entire continent to themselves. The African penguins are also monogamous, which means that they stick with their partner forever. Talk about loyalty. Number 3, we have the Chinstrap Penguin. They live on the Antarctic Peninsula and on the islands of the South Atlantic Ocean. They are one of the most populated species with over 7.5 million breeding pairs. That's a lot of penguins. They are the only other species of aggressive penguin. If they ever feel too hot, they'll eat snow to cool down, which is so cute. They're the only species known to do that. Number 4, we got the emperor penguin. This is the biggest penguin species, standing at a whopping 3.5 feet tall and weighing up to 80 pounds. That's a big penguin. They only live in Antarctica, meaning that they are a true Antarctic bird. They have been known to be able to dive up to 565 meters, which is the deepest any penguin can dive, but typically they stay at about 200 meters deep. Another interesting fact is that they can swim underwater for up to 27 minutes, which is the longest any penguin can swim without taking a breath, but usually they swim underwater for up to 22 minutes. They're also one of the few species of penguin that is nocturnal, which means it's only active at night. Number 5, the erect-crested penguin. This odd-looking penguin only lives in New Zealand and the Antipodes Islands. An interesting fact about these penguins is that they lay 2 eggs, but the second egg is always the bigger of the 2. The first egg that was laid, once hatched, is usually kicked out of the nest by the adults. If you ask me, that's kind of rude and sad. Number 6, the Fiordland penguin. These penguins also live in New Zealand, and coincidentally, they also lay 2 eggs. And the second one is larger. The adults don't kick out the first one, though. Usually the chick doesn't survive due to its size, but this is still pretty sad. Also, they ride on the tails of whales to catch a little ride. I wish I could do that. Number 7, the Galapagos penguin. Personally, my favorite because they pant like a dog. They do this because they're hot. They're also the only penguins that live on the equator. They also live the most north that any other species of penguin lives. And these penguins are also monogamous. If you don't remember what that means, it means that when they find their partner, they stick with them forever. Number 8, the Gentoo penguins. They live in the sub-Antarctic islands and the Antarctic Peninsula. These penguins only eat Arctic krill. They can swim up to 22 miles per hour, and when they're diving, their heartbeat slows from 80 beats per minute all the way down to 20 beats per minute. Number 9, the Humboldt penguin. These little guys live off the coast of Chile and Peru. They eat anchovies and any other little fish they can find. They can also swim up to 30 miles per hour, and the baby's call is just the cutest. I mean, listen to it. Number 10, the king penguin. These guys live in South Georgia, then the Falkland Islands, and other islands in Antarctica. This is the second biggest penguin species, standing at 39 inches and weighing only 40 pounds. And an interesting fact about them is that when their eyes are small, they're circular, and then when they grow bigger, they become square. Isn't that interesting? Number 11, the little penguin. This species is the only other penguin that has the entire continent to their own. They live in Australia. They also live in southern New Zealand. This penguin is also known as the blue penguin because its feathers have blue undertones, so when the light shines into them, they appear blue. This is also the smallest species of penguin, only standing at 15 inches tall. That's a tiny bird. Number 12, the macaroni penguin. These penguins have a large area in which they live. It includes the Indian Ocean, Antarctica, and the Atlantic Ocean. This is the biggest species, having over 11 million penguins due to lack of predators. They lay 2 eggs at a time, and each parent takes turns incubating the egg, switching every 7 to 12 days. Incubating is when the parent sits on the egg, keeping it warm until it hatches. Now that's teamwork. Number 13, the Magellanic penguin. They live in South America, Brazil, Argentina, Chile, and Antarctica. The first one was spotted when a Portuguese explorer named Fernando was attempting to travel all the way around the world in 1519. A surprising close relative to this penguin is the albatross, which is the biggest bird today. Number 14, the northern rockhopper penguin. They live in the Atlantic and Indian Oceans. This penguin also lays 2 eggs, and usually the first one gets kicked out of the nest, and the second one is the bigger penguin. As their name suggests, they actually jump from rock to rock, and it's one of the cutest things I have ever seen. Number 15, the royal penguin. These little guys live on Macquarie Island. They are the largest of the crested penguins, standing at 28 inches tall. It is thought that they are a subspecies of the macaroni penguin, but studies have shown their feet are slightly different. Number 16, the Snare Penguin. These fellows live in New Zealand, but they were bred on Snare Island. In 2008, they were almost extinct, which means not to have any more of that species. But then they put restrictions on who can visit them, and their population grew. The only people that were allowed to visit them were explicit scientists when they were studying them. Following that, the other invasive mammals such as rabbits and dogs started to die, which made it easier for the penguins to breed and repopulate. Number 17, the southern rockhopper penguin. This penguin is just like the north one, but they live in the south and they have shorter feathers. They live in the Atlantic and Indian Oceans. This is another penguin who lays 2 eggs. Usually the first one gets kicked out of the nest, and the second one is a bigger penguin. And as their name suggests, they actually jump from rock to rock. Number 18, the white flippered penguin. This penguin lives on Motunui Island and the banks of the peninsula of the South Island of New Zealand. This is another penguin species that is nocturnal. They are also the only penguin that doesn't have white on its flipper. They're actually gray. That makes it a pretty confusing name if you ask me. Number 19, the yellow-eyed penguin. They only live in New Zealand. Sadly, there are only 3,000 of these cuties left, and it's surprisingly due to a rare disease outbreak. They are closely related to the little penguin. If you ever want to see a penguin and you don't have any plans to visit any of the places they live, you can check out your local zoo where you might be able to find one. One sad thing is that 8 of these penguins are endangered, which means that they're almost extinct. Can you imagine a world without those penguins? Now that would be very sad. Penguins are going extinct because of oil spills, pollution, and global warming. If you want to learn more about global warming, be sure to turn on my notifications for my upcoming video. There are also many organizations that help save penguins, and I'll put one of my favorites in the description box below. That's all for today's video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button, turn on notifications, and follow my channel for more videos.